This is the Horse Radio Network.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks again for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1418, brought to you today by Purina. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Horses in the Morning show, where episode host Christy Landwehr is joined by Shawna Karrasch, and they're going to bust some positive reinforcement myths. And we'll get right to our tip after this from Purina.
Do you have an older horse that's trying to age gracefully? Trust the future with your old friend to the #1 equine vet recommended senior feed. Purina Equine Senior and Senior Active Horse Feeds are backed by unparalleled research to support the unique needs of horses as they age. Both patented feeds include active age prebiotic technology to support immune function, mobility, and appropriate metabolic response in aging horses. Plus, now with the Outlast supplement built in, they also support your horse's gastric health and comfort. Purina Animal Nutrition, they're years ahead in senior research, so you can have more good years with your horse. Put their research to the test at horseinnovation.com. That's horseinnovation.com.
So our next guest is not one that Horse Radio Network does not know, because she has her own channel here, but it's Shawna Karrasch, and we're excited to have her on today because she'll also be on our virtual conference on the 30th. She is a pioneer in the use of positive reinforcement training with horses. Her behavioral training techniques are an eye-opening experience for equine professionals, competitors, and amateurs. She has produced books and videos, podcasts, and traveled worldwide to teach these concepts to both horses and riders.
And she, of course, has a show on the network here called Equine Clicker 101, which is kind of different. It's a unique show in that it is a training podcast where you actually go out to your horse while you're listening, and she has you do things. So I don't know that of any other podcast like that in horse world, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Hi, Shawna.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
Good. I am good, and it's so good to have you on today all the way from New Mexico.
Well, it is nice to be on today. Be back on. I mean, it's been a while. This used to be a regular gig.
I know, but now you have your own show. You don't talk to us anymore. So that's...
We were just talking about that.
She hangs out with Jennifer.
Now.
Yeah, and just doesn't talk to us anymore. Too good for us.
It's so me, too.
So, Shawna, what are some common misconceptions about positive reinforcement and clicker training as a whole?
Yeah, well, I think one is that it is not based in science. So there's a real belief that that it's a little fluffernuttery. That we're all just, that we're just a bunch of kind of soft, mushy people who just want to feed their horse cookies. And that is not it at all. But, you've heard that. But it's a very systematic approach.
That's how I do it. That'd be my version of it. Yeah, I'm talking about me, Shawna.
Except you'd be feeding them tacos. And I think that it is that's how we think about it. But it is a very systematic approach that started first with marine mammals. So that's, of course, where I really put it into practice, and then did that for 10 years. And before I started taking it to the horses, when nobody knew what I was even talking about. But I think that it is really science. This is already going on. These principles that are behind this learning are already going on, whether we know it or not. So I think that understanding more about what's going on in our horse's head and how their brain works only gives us an advantage, regardless of which way we want to go or which tool we want to use. We're just going to be better because of the understanding we get. And then there's always, of course, the people who say you can't hand feed a horse. Hand feeding a horse makes them mouthy, bitey. And the hand feeding isn't the problem. It's the behavior that we've actually delivered the food on. So we unintentionally, people constantly are reinforcing the horse reaching for them or grabbing for the treat or coming into their space. And so that they're reinforcing it. They're telling the horse, yes, this worked for you. Why don't you do it again? So the very first thing we work on is let's learn to keep our head to ourselves. Let's give us our space, and that you have to learn to slow down and wait to figure out what you need to do in order to earn the reward. So I think that's a really kind of common misconception that goes along with it. But I've actually dealt with and cured, as it were. You can never really cure anything like that, but I've stopped the behavior of biting and working with truly aggressive horses who want to kill people. And I've used hand feeding to change their emotional state and to get them where they're making better choices and thinking, oh, I love this. I'm glad the human's here. So I think that those are probably the most common ones I think of.
And that about wraps it up. Thanks again to Purina for sponsoring this episode. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.